You're always the morning girl, and he's always the lazy butt. Good morning, chunky butt. You decide to wake up and get some breakfast? Sorry, Olivia, yours got a little more soupy. Oh. Y'all stay warm today. It's cold. So guys, on a positive note, I don't know if you can see it or not, but the I Am Samani hen, she had that injured eye. And about 3 days ago, I came out here and noticed she had fully opened her eye back up. So I'm hoping it's healing now. And on the mend, she seems to be doing good. She seems to be a lot more energetic now. And the pullet, which that's what I'm gonna call her now because she's getting old enough, she most certainly seems to be doing fine. She's been good all along. She's definitely gonna be a I Am Barred Rock mix, and it's kind of neat to see how she's developing and what she's going to be like. But overall, these two are doing really good, and I foresee me integrating them back with the flock probably here within about a week or so at most, just to make sure that they're good and they continue to heal and develop like they should. Hey everybody, staying here from Rocky Creek. Welcome back to the homestead. This week has not been, it's been a week to really test a man, and yeah, it's enough to drive you to drink the way some of it's gone, but no. So we're back here at the coop because the hawk issue has continued. And then also during this week, I shared with y'all weeks back, it might have even been about a month ago, that I was having some like heartbeat issues, and I've kind of been working through some stuff on that. So on Monday of this past week, they wanted to do some testing, and they couldn't do my testing because my blood pressure was too high, and they refused to do the test because of that. My testing wasn't until the early afternoon, so I left work and went to that. But coincidentally, I had to go to the doctor the other day because I got an ear infection, and I went to the doctor before I ever went to work, and my blood pressure was perfect. Tell me that's not a coincidence. Pretty sure work gets my blood pressure fired up and I don't realize it. But nonetheless, they also put a heart monitor on me. I got that on right now. It's a pretty slick little doodad. Just kind of sticks to me, and I kind of joke with my daughter and say that it's my Iron Man patch, and just kind of looks pretty cool. But nonetheless, though, I feel fine. Everything's been good. This has all just been, I guess, precautionary measures to make sure everything's fine. But nonetheless, had that going on this week. Had the ear infection going on this week, which is clearing up. Should be good to go here in about another couple days. I do get ear infections pretty regularly. This is totally off topic of today's video, but many of y'all know I started this because of psoriasis, and although I've cleared up on 90% of the areas that I've had psoriasis, I still do get psoriasis in my ears, which does sometimes cause me to get ear infections a little more often than normal. But back to the hawk situation. That's just all stuff that's gone on this week. It's been an interesting week, but nonetheless, the update on the owl decoys and the Bird Be Gone, I think that was the brand, reflective strips. So we had hawk attack 3 days in a row. Put this stuff up, and I got just over a week of relief. No hawk issues whatsoever. Well, at some point in time, the hawk became acclimated to what was going on here, and we had an additional hawk attack. Fortunately, a friend of mine at work has this old dog kennel pen kind of thing, and they actually utilize this. They got some rabbits from me a couple years ago, and they use this as a temporary rabbit area, and now they no longer needed it. And so they offered it to me as a temporary relief from this hawk. And on top of it, we have some bird netting. So the total structure is 10 foot by 10 foot, and it's just chain link, and then I use zip ties, and you can see there's bird netting, and the bird netting runs all the way across the top of the structure right here. He couldn't find the hardware for it, so we just used large zip ties where we connect the fencing to the main support poles, and we use small zip ties to get the chain link taut up and down here at the bottom. Size wise, it has given the chickens enough room to access their nesting boxes without issues, but clearly you can see going from a 50 by 50 pen down to a 10 by 10 with the number of chickens that I have here, this is not going to be suitable for long term. So we got to come up with another step in the process to try to alleviate the hawk pressure that we have, because the hawk is back and we got to continue to move forward with it. So once I observed the hawk back, I knew I needed to do something, but we ran into a few issues. So this worked out temporarily, but we ended up with about 8 inches of snow, followed by high winds, super cold temperatures, and then just as that snow started to melt, we got hit with another couple inches of snow. So the weather just has not cooperated very good, on top of working full time, and I've been coaching wrestling, which we finally just finished all that up. Our team finished second overall, which was pretty good, so I was happy with that on a side note. But so this is the first opportunity we had to address it, because the hawk has come back. Fortunately, it has not gotten to our chickens because of the setup we have right now temporarily. And even just this morning, first thing this morning, when I looked out the window, when I was preparing breakfast for the family, the hawk was sitting right there on top of that pole waiting for these chickens to come out. And I couldn't get it on film in time, but while I was transitioning from feeding the pigs to come down here to these guys, I don't know where it was roosted up at. I didn't see it, but I did see it fly off in that direction. And so the hawk is definitely wanting to get back at these chickens. So what are we going to try to do right now? So I got 2 ideas that I'm going to work with. One we'll do now, and the other one is going to depend on availability. So number 1 is we're going to take good old fishing line. And based off of what I've been able to read online, many places use this to deter hawks down at the beachfront areas. They use this to deter seagulls and pigeons and things that bother tourists. But we're going to run eyelets on our wooden posts. We're also going to tie on to our sheep and goat wire that we contain our chickens in. And I'm going to try to create sort of a grid style canopy using the fishing line and attaching it to various trees that are positioned inside of this pen, or running it up to the top of this post. I'm going to leave this structure in here for a while until I can make sure that we're through and beyond our issues with the hawk. So this is going to remain here intact, but the big thing is I want to make this up high enough. Now you may ask yourself, why are we not going to use netting over the whole structure? Well, 2 reasons for that. Number 1, it is big. This is a 50 by 50 run for about 12 chickens, which is a lot of space for them, and that's a lot of netting to try to put over top of this. The second thing is that we have a lot of birds that I don't mind. We get beautiful bluebirds, we get little finches, we get a ton of woodpeckers, which they kind of get on my nerves, but I have seen where those types of birds get caught up in the netting, injure themselves. If I can prevent injuring other birds, then I want to do so. But I've read that this is very helpful, and that the hawk's tremendous eyesight can see this fishing line even though it's hard for us to see it, and that if it's crisscrossed or in a format that is tight enough together that they can't navigate it when they're coming in fast to attack a chicken. I don't know if it's going to work, but I was able to get this, the eyelets, and I may potentially use roofing nails because they have very fat heads if I need them. I was able to purchase all these items for right around $12 in total. So it's not a lot of money invested, just as the Bird Be Gone tape was. That was $5. It gave me a week's relief till I could come up with a plan B. So I'm not invested tremendously financially. So we're going to give this a try, start rigging it up, and we'll see how it works out. So my current plan is to run an eyelet just inside of each post all the way around, and I'm just going to pre-drill a hole to make it easier to get them in using this drill, and we're going to go all the way around to each and every post, working our way. All right, so then after we get the pilot hole, it's just as simple as turning the eyelet in. And then once you get it started, the easy way to turn these is put the screwdriver in it, and it makes it super easy to rotate it. and you don't wear out your fingertips. Like so. So we're going to do that to every post now too, and then we'll start working our line. So I don't know how well y'all can see it or not, but I've got a few roofing nails in, like right there. And I got about 4 or 5 others on this tree going around. And I've got one there. And you may be able to see right there. Pretty much each tree, with this tree, that tree, and that tree, I have anywhere from 3 to 5 roofing nails on each tree to give me some tying posts. So now my plan is to start at this eyelet and feed it to this tree here. And then I'm gonna use and kind of zigzag back and forth to rungs here, back up to the tree, back down, catch about here, and then tie on there. And we'll keep running this all the way around, kind of making judgment calls off of which tree I'm gonna run to. And then hopefully we'll have enough line. If not, then we'll get as far as we can and then pick up some more. So I've gotten about 1/4 of the pin done, and you may not even be able to see it because it's kind of green and iridescent, but I've been able to run it in one continuous line, and that's why I wanted to stop at about 1/4 of the way through, so that way if I lost the line or something broke, I wouldn't have to start completely over. I would only have about 25% to do. But I've been mixing it up. I've got various lines running between this tree and this tree, and we ran from here all the way up to there, and I've only focused on the eyelets right now. I found that that's going to be easiest, and I've already got multiple crisscross patterns going on. You may be able to see 2 different lines here, and this inner line is running to the far tree and then here. And then once I started at the side and I got to right here is when I started to end up with some crisscrossing where some stuff's going up over the lines. You probably can't see a whole lot. I can see it fairly decent. The green color blends in pretty good, but once you get a distance away, you don't really notice it, but it's actually working really well. I did get 30-pound test, and it seems to be holding up really good. I'm putting a lot of pull on this, and it's not breaking, so hopefully this stronger test will be good as well. But we're going to keep this thing rolling and try to get it all done. Well guys, I got strings running every which way. I'm trying to get to where y'all can see it. It's very hard to see the actual lines, but I got them feeding all different ways. And the good thing is, it's good and it's bad. The good thing is that aesthetically, you can't see it a whole lot, especially once you get about 10 or so feet away from the coop. The bad thing is where you can't see it, I'll probably get my head caught up on it every so often. Well, I think that's about all I'm gonna do regarding the line. For the most part, in the central area where I would mostly be dealing with the chickens, I've been able to get enough vertical height to where it's not gonna interfere with me trying to do daily chores. Now, when you get to the outer skirts, there was a few times where I caught the very tip of my hat and it kind of about to pull my hat off, but nothing that's like down here. If anything, I'm just gonna bump it with the top of my head. Now, the spool that I got was 440 yards, and that's all I got left. So I've got lines running every which way. I feel like on this side, I have pretty good crisscross. The front is sort of iffy, and the left side or right if I'm facing the coop is sort of iffy as well. I don't know how close it needs to get or if this is even going to be effective, but it was cost efficient, and honestly it wasn't that hard to do. The eyelets made a tremendous difference because I noticed that the eyelets don't completely close and there's just a tiny bit of a gap, and so instead of having to tie, retie, I was able just to slide the line through that little slot, wrap it around, and keep rolling. So it was very quick. If this ends up being effective, I will probably at some point add maybe some poles or something to the edges to get a little more vertical height with this. But this is probably the most frustrated I've been with dealing with something in my animals in a very long time. If anything, I'm fortunate and I'm blessed that in 5 years, counting the 2 years at the city, this is the first time I've had any hawk pressure. And I've always known an aerial predator was going to be what I was most in danger of, but this year in particular, in this round, has been super frustrating. But at the end of the day, this is part of homesteading. Some stuff isn't going to go right. You're going to have to learn. You're going to have to experiment, and hopefully this will work out. Now, I said there's a second thing that we were going to end up doing at some point. Many of you have suggested a guard goose. I'm doing some research on that, particularly which breeds I think will work best for us. I've been hesitant to get a goose. I really didn't see a need for a goose, but obviously I may have a need now. Ideally, I can wait till the springtime. I have research that says that it's best to get them as a gosling if possible, but we'll see how it goes. One thing I have learned through my homesteading journey is not to be impulsive and jump right into something. And so I'm trying to do my research. I'm doing some digging on that, trying to make sure that that may or may not be the right fit for us. And that's not something, when it comes to putting a live animal here, I definitely want to make sure that's something that I'm ready and willing to take on. But for right now, we'll try this out. I'm going to leave the chickens within this caged area for right now. It's been super cold, so they're not as active anyways. They've been kind of staying in the coop to try to stay warm. So it's not as impactful on them right now. But obviously, as you could see from earlier, it's not stopping the hawk from coming to wait for them, even though it can't get to them. So I'm going to leave this up for a while. We're going to monitor it. And if it seems like I haven't seen the hawk in quite some time, then we'll probably go ahead and start letting the chickens venture out from there. So in terms of follow-up about the owl decoys and the reflective tape, it is very much a temporary relief, but the hawk is smart enough, and once the hawk determines that it is nothing of danger to it, it will be back. For us, it was about a 1.5-week time frame. Hopefully for some of you, if you end up using it, you'll be longer, but clearly it's not going to be a long-term fix, and we'll see how well this fishing line grid setup works out, and we'll keep you up to date. Well guys, it's super cold here. My hands are frozen. My nose has got stuff dripping from it. It is freezing. It's about 15 degrees here today. I'm gonna go inside and get warmed up. I appreciate you all coming along with us. Y'all be good. And as always guys, thank you for all your support. And we'll see you here very soon on one of our next episodes. Thanks guys.